Welcome back, y'all. Coach Paul Malone, One Degree Coaching. So grateful and humbled you watch any of my content. Really appreciate it. Always piggybacking off of a lot of content from previous videos. So if you've been following me, a lot of these will build upon each other. So I always do a little quick recap on a lot of my content. So first step I teach in my process is clarity. Always know what you want. You hear me say this a lot. Have an address, exact address in your mental GPS. Number two is you got to become aware. Previous videos, we started talking about you become aware, you take inventory of your thoughts, your feelings, and what I call your little voices. It's all a part about becoming aware, right? And step three is that once you become aware, you have to identify what I call paralyzing paradigms. Identify paralyzing paradigms. So when you start thinking about something that you want, right, a result, and in previous videos, I'd always challenge people, does that goal excite you? Yeah, coach. Does it scare you? No, then it's not big enough, right? You heard me say this before. So a goal should excite and scare you at the same time. You have to have clarity on it. Then you start becoming aware, start analyzing, consciously aware of based upon that goal, based upon that outcome, what are the thoughts I'm having? They're negative or positive. What are the emotions that are triggered? Let me just pause here for a second. Anytime you got a negative feeling like fear, anxiety, doubt, uncertainty, like this, dude, that is literally a trigger and it's telling me what you think. You're having stinking thinking. So anytime you feel stress, anxiety, doubt, fear, all that's telling me as a coach is that you're choosing a negative thought about your outcome or about your future outcome. That's just the truth. Okay, so that's why you hear me say is you got to control how you think first, all right? Because that thought, that story, that visualization that you are choosing to have will dictate an emotion, a feeling inside you, right? A vibrational frequency. And depending whether that feeling is negative or positive, if it is negative, and in one of my books, You Have Infinite Power, I call it FAD. Fear, anxiety, doubt. Most people experience this, especially men. Fear, anxiety, doubt, or fear, anger, doubt. They're the worst. And what that will trigger is a paralyzing paradigm. Now, when you think of the word paralyzing, what do you think about? Paralyzed. Man, you can't move. You're frozen. You take action. That's just it. That's the truth. You're frozen. You're paralyzed. Now, let's just pause. Paralyzed. We know that, okay? Paradigms. A paradigm is a set of beliefs that define your current reality. A paradigm is a set of beliefs that define your current reality. And we all have them. When you have stinking thinking, and that triggers a negative emotion, fear, anxiety, doubt, now you create this belief that you're not good enough. That can never happen. I'm too young. I'm too old, right? Whatever that may be. Once you identify what that statement is, you don't take action. Or if you do take action, it's not the necessary action. So let's identify first, where do these paradigms come from? Paradigms are real, and we all have them. But I will tell you right now, before we get into deep dive on the paralyzing paradigms, you got to know where these paradigms are formed, okay? Number one is, I believe your very first set of paradigms, your set of beliefs, are generational. Generational paradigms. Think about that for a second. It's what you heard, what you saw, what you experienced from your parents, your grandparents as a little kid, like the people around you and your family. Right now, I'm going to be a little facetious and make fun of myself right now. Even though I live in Charleston, South Carolina, I'm originally from New York. And if you haven't guessed, I'm an Italian New Yorker, okay? And I love my mom, and I love my dad, my pop. I think they're the best humans on planet Earth. But my paradigm is people are doing the best they can with the resources they have. This is what I heard as a kid. And I love my mom. I'm being a little facetious here. Sorry, Mom. You gotta marry an Italian girl. You gotta get married in a Catholic church. You gotta have lots of kids, and you have to live close next to your family. Man, that was drilled into me my entire life. I'm the oldest out of 5 kids. Literally, I heard that. Now, I love my parents. They were dating since like 12 or 13. They got married at 20. They had me at 22 years old. First off, take a look at a 22-year-old right now. I mean, they're babies. Take a look at a little 22-year-old kid. But they were kids. They were kids, and they had an apartment, and they had a kid. And then 2 years later, they had another kid. And they had 5 kids before they were 30. They had this little house in Putnam Valley, New York, after living in Yonkers, New York, right? And so generational paradigms is I heard that from my mom. Now, I'm not saying this is bad, but those who know me, I married Gina Marie Sillo. I got married in a big Catholic church in Ossining, New York, overlooking the Hudson River. I had over 300 and something people at our wedding. Our first house is up the street from my mom and dad, a mile and a half from my in-laws. 2 of my sisters lived down the block from me. And the only thing I didn't do that my mom told me to do was have more than 2 kids, right? You know, true story. It's like, you know, my dad is Paul, I'm Paul. I have a sister, Gina Marie. My wife is Gina Marie. My brother-in-law is Paul. His son is Paulie Jr. Like, dude, it's like the Goodfellas movie. This is Paul, this is Paulie, this is Gina Marie, this is, like, it's so stereotypical Italian, it's not even funny. You know what I mean? But I laugh, but it's not good, it's not bad, but you're subconsciously being programmed by your generational beliefs, okay? Now I want you to pause for a second and think about your background, your faith base, where you're from. You know, if you're Jewish, you're, you know, Christian, a Catholic, Irish, Italian, you know, you Black, Hispanic. Just think about what you were taught by your parents and grandparents. Everything that we believe, for the most part, our sports teams, politics, money, a lot of this all comes down to our generational conditioning. That's just the truth, okay? Number 2, your environment. Now, my parents grew up in Yonkers, New York, and they wanted to move their kids to the suburbs back then. You know, so they went from Westchester County to Upper Westchester, Putnam County. That's on the border there in New York, very rural area in the Hudson Valley. And we lived in this town called Putnam Valley. You know what? It was cool growing up, very rural, you're outside, but no disrespect, where I live right now in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, outside Charleston, it is, humbly speaking, a very wealthy area. We're next to the Isle of Palms, right, beach. We're outside downtown Charleston. I look around, there's Mercedes, Porsche, Tesla dealerships, beautiful homes on the water. The environment is different from what we grew up on. And it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just awareness. But I will guarantee, based upon your environment, your set of beliefs will be different. So not too far away is North Charleston, or where we grew up, there's something called Peekskill, New York. You know, some parts of that are maybe a different environment, and their set of beliefs are different based upon what they see. You know, cars, homes, income, your environment will expose you to a new set of beliefs or conditioning, right? It's all about awareness, right? I'm not saying it's right, it's not wrong, but you think about your environment. And that's really important. I chose this area for a reason, whether it's good or bad, but my kids see beautiful manicured homes, landscapes, nice cars, there's growth, there's wealth, right? So environment will condition you and I. So be aware. Third one, social. Most people in personal development, this pisses a lot of people off, but it's the truth. You will become a combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. As I'm filming this now, I have a son who's going to be 18, a daughter's going to be 20. Hey, Pierce, you hang out with 5 potheads, you'll be the 6th. You hang out with 5 athletes that go to the gym and they're jacked and care about their fitness, you'll be the 6th. You hang out with 5 multi-millionaires, you'll be the 6th. You hang out with 5 couples that gossip and talk bad and have jealousy, most likely you'll be the 6th. You will conform to the people around you, whether it's good or bad. I'm not here to judge. I'm just, again, this is awareness. If you're someone that wants to grow, that wants to improve, that wants to become a better human being, you just gotta be really careful on who you surround yourself with. You know, for me personally, I'm always someone that wants to bring people up with me. I want people to win. I really do care. I like to think I consider myself a leader. But once someone tries to pull you down and keep you complacent and comfortable, and most of the time it's out of jealousy or maybe their unwillingness not to raise their standard, you gotta be really, really careful to surround yourself with people that could shrink you back down. It's just the truth. And we're not here to say what's right, what's wrong, but your social network will either keep you complacent, drag you down, or excel you to another level if that's what you want. You know, most of us know that with our kids. That's what we're so protective of who our kids hang out with. But you're not protective of who you hang out with. That's just the truth. So your social conditioning will dictate your belief system and your paradigms. And it also comes around money and fitness. It's all habits, right? Here's the fourth one, which is more prevalent now than ever, is the media. Right? This is crazy. You know, when I was a kid, it was like what you watched on the news, you know, and never want to get political. Like, I'm sure all of us have our own views. I know I got my views, but, you know, go ahead, put on CNN, capture what that says. Put on Fox News, capture what that says. Two different put on Newsmax, completely different narrative. Depending on what your lens, right, what you're choosing to watch, your perception, you're only gonna see what you watch, and that will trigger you. Like, we all know, the one that has the power of the media gets to brainwash all of us. And even kids these days, whether they're watching on TikTok or on social media, is literally gonna program and wire them, good or bad. It's literally is what we see in the lens will dictate how we think and how we feel and our belief systems, right? You gotta be really careful. I do my best lately. I wanna have some level of awareness, but I don't inundate with myself with media and news. I can't control it. I wish I could, but I can't. But sometimes it makes me feel bad. It takes me out of vibrational frequency, and I wanna think for myself, right? I don't want someone else to get me to think on how I should think. So be really careful on what you watch on your screen, on your TV, or listen. Nowadays, my wife and I mean, even in our free time, I know this sounds geeky, we'll put on YouTube and we'll listen to Napoleon Hill content from years ago. And I think he's like the godfather of personal development, if you want my humble opinion. If you don't know who he is, he wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, which is the most amazing personal development book still in history today. And he has a lot of audio content, because back then there was no video content. So on my free time, I'm literally listening to that. I'd rather listen and watch something that's gonna be a deposit in my mind than something that's gonna be a withdrawal, right? So the 4 ways that I believe we form our belief system, our paradigms, good or bad, are generational, like our parents and grandparents, and it's up for you and I to dictate or decide whether that thinking is supportive of what my goals are, my vision, or not. Your environment, like where you live, where you grow up, or your kids, who you spend time with socially, it's a big one. And that's why we're so protective of our children, right? And who they're spending time with, because they will pick up behaviors from their friends. And then what we watch, what we listen to on the media. These are the ways that you and I will form our belief systems, our paradigms, right? So when you're identifying your paradigms, you have to then analyze, right? Are these beliefs paralyzing me to get what I want as it relates to your result, your goals, your vision, your dreams? And you have to be very consciously aware of what beliefs your parents told you, what you see around your neighborhoods, right? Your friends, the people you spend time with, and what you watch. All these things will dictate your paradigms. So what I'd like you to do is challenge yourself and say, like, man, what are some generational paradigms that were passed down to me? What are some environmental paradigms that I believe about, you know, where you grow up? What are some paradigms or beliefs or habits that people I'm spending time with, are they hurting me or challenging me to grow and become better? And if I'm watching something on TV, the news, social media, how does that make me feel? If something's making you feel negative, that is a trigger that's going to paralyze you, make you feel bad, and it's most likely a paralyzing belief and paradigm. So take a look on where your paradigms are formed and become aware, and you and only you can make a decision on what new paradigms that you want to instill into you, your family, because it's going to dictate your future outcome. Be better every day.